Welcome to your weekly forecast. My name is Adeana. I'm an intuitive astrologer. Before we get into this video, I really want to share with you all how I will be changing this channel up a little bit. I have been going through my own personal transformation, as I believe we all are at this moment, because of all of these amazing energies, and I am completely redirecting my business and what I'm really offering all of you. I did mention in my video before how I really want to start talking about self-development, healing, awakening, and so I will be kind of rebranding the channel a little bit, and you will start to see different videos, not just astrology, but talking about healing from relationships, healing from toxic abusive relationships. This is something I feel very passionate about and that I've been through and that I really want to help guide others through as well. And so I really hope that you all enjoy the new content that I will be posting and come along for the ride. I also want to let you guys all know that I'm starting my podcast, Awaken with Me. I will be posting my very first episode on Wednesday. And so going forward, every Wednesday, I will be posting a brand new episode for the podcast. And in this podcast, we will be talking about self-development and healing and awakening and all of those amazing themes and topics that really help us grow. I really want to start focusing on personal growth, personal development, and healing. So I hope that you all enjoy the new content. I will be still posting, of course, my astrology content, but I may be eliminating some of the videos just to make space and room for this new adventure and this new content that we will all be going on, and I hope you come with me. So I may not be doing the monthly videos anymore. I'm still going to do the weekly forecast. That way you are all able to have an understanding of the energies that you're moving through, and this really helps you understand what's showing up energetically. So I will, of course, continue with that. I'm going to do the new moon and full moon videos, but I might just be eliminating the monthly videos. That's pretty much all. I'm still going to focus a lot on the major themes and topics energetically, astrologically, because it's energy we all need to be aware of. So let's get right into this weekly forecast. Of course, if you align with my energy and you enjoy my content, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Now, I always start these weekly forecast videos off by going over some of the energy that we're moving out of or moving through, and then we get into the energy that's showing up for us through the week. So I want to talk about that Pluto T-square because Pluto is now back in Capricorn, and the nodes have now reached 1 degree of Taurus and Scorpio, so that T-square is starting to become more intense. This can really feel like this intensity around change, around transformation, which, like I said, this is something we're all moving through. So however this is showing up for you, there's something here becoming quite intense when it has to do with releasing this old version, old karmic cycles, patterns, releasing this old energy and letting go in order to step into the new, in order to really embrace this new version of you that is going to be showing up very, very soon. We have a lot of different energy coinciding with all of this. It's really interesting how much, even in July when we have the Venus retrograde in Venus in Leo, this is where there's going to be a lot of energy around your self-worth, your self-love, your self-value, and your relationships, which is why I really want to start guiding on self-development and healing, because there's going to be a lot of this showing up for everyone. So these are just things to kind of be mindful of and aware of. We have the sun in Cancer now. So remember that while the sun is transiting through the zodiac and moving through your birth chart, the sun is really lighting up a certain area of your life, activating all of that energy. So you really want to know where you have Cancer in your birth chart so you can take advantage of these activations, of these light codes, of this amazing energy that is coming in at this time. Also, while we have all of this Venus energy showing up, because Venus is in Leo and Leo is ruled by the sun, whatever the sun is doing is going to be kind of directing this Venus energy. So, I will, of course, talk more about this as the energies show up. But what I want you to remember and be mindful of is that whatever is showing up for you while this Venus story is playing out, we want to look towards the sun for insight, for guidance, for opportunity to help direct us through this energy and however this story is playing out for you. Now, I really want to talk about the new moon in Gemini that we had last weekend on the 18th, because on Friday, Saturday, we experienced the first quarter square of that new moon, meaning that this can really be a point of crisis in the direction that you're taking for whatever intentions you really set with that Gemini new moon. So whatever was going on for you around that new moon in Gemini, whatever direction you were moving in, whatever story was playing out around Friday and Saturday, there may have been something that showed up that may have been a little bit challenging. So as the moon enters and moves through the week, this is where you will receive clarity. Once the moon enters that kind of just that waxing gibbous phase, when the moon kind of forms a trine to the sun, this is where we receive clarity and we start to see some of those manifestations of those intentions or whatever was showing up for us at that time. So we do want to watch the cycle of the moon. I know in my own personal life, this is something that I journal. I really recommend journaling so that you can know and understand how these energies show up for you. I can't even tell you how many times I have gone back on my journals, and even with clients, when I tell them, journal, and they do so and they go back and they really review things that they wrote down and how much has come to fruition or the guidance that is in the past. So like when you look back at things that were coming to you when you were writing down and you get this intuitive nudge to just, let's, read through my journal. You look back and there's so many little golden nuggets within that journal that you wrote down weeks, days, months, years ago that help you in that moment. So I really highly recommend journaling if I can, I really, really do, because it can help in guiding through any challenging energy that shows up for you. So that's just something I kind of wanted to talk about, because that new moon was squaring Neptune. So there was a lot about that energy that was unclear. And some of the energy we moved through Friday and Saturday, there was just things kind of actually showing up that we were wondering, or that was unclear, that was confusing at that time. There was something coming up to kind of help us in the direction. So blockages, these are, squares can really represent energetic blockages. So it was just something I really kind of wanted to note. Now on Monday, we have Mercury entering Cancer. So Mercury is combust right now, meaning that Mercury is within 10 to 14 degrees of the sun. This can really have us Mercury represents our mind, communication, information, messages. All of those mercurial themes and topics become a little cloudy and unclear and confusing when Mercury is combust. When Mercury becomes Cassimi on Friday is when we really have that clarity. This is when you really want to be journaling, because the intuitive downloads that can be pouring in at this time to help guide you through whatever it is you're currently moving through can be so beneficial. So this is energy we want to be aware of throughout the week while Mercury is moving closer to the sun. When Mercury forms that Cazimi, Mercury is going to be trine Saturn and sextiling Jupiter. So there is this conversation at the end of the week this week between Mercury, Saturn retrograde, and Jupiter. This can really show up as beautiful supportive energy when it has to do with guidance and direction in this Saturn retrograde energy. So the Saturn retrograde and Pisces energy, which you can always check that video out that I posted on the channel, but Saturn has to do with our commitments, our responsibilities, even our boundaries, our life lessons, karmic cycles. So whatever it is that you're moving through around this energy, Jupiter is coming in. There's a lot of intuitive messages and insight and opportunity and support to help guide you through whatever it is you're moving through at this time around this entire story. This is really showing that if you are ready to commit yourself, to dedicate yourself, to take the chances and really go in that direction that is of your highest timeline for the highest version of yourself, there is amazing blessings coming in for you. And that is that Jupiter energy. Saturn is that commitment, that dedication, showing you that if you really commit yourself, because remember, there's this conversation between the sun, and the sun is our soul's expression, how we are, our activations daily and how we are presenting ourselves daily and the direction that we are taking daily. And Saturn is really committing ourselves to the Saturn energy is what is showing up as really committing ourselves and dedicating ourselves to that highest timeline. And if we do so, Jupiter's bringing in amazing blessings. So I really wanted to bring that to your awareness as well, because that's something that's really going to come to the forefront this week with this energy. On Tuesday, we have Mercury forming a sextile to the North Node and a trine to the South Node. Now, because we have that Mercury combust with the Sun, this is where there is a lot of those intuitive downloads coming in when it has to do with the direction, when it has to do with what needs to be released and let go of in order to take those steps forward into your highest timeline, into this new version of yourself. So you want to, like I said, you kind of want to be journaling and paying attention all week with this amazing energy showing up, because there's so much kind of going on around all of these intuitive messages and downloads to really help support you in this new direction and to really help you understand what's no longer in alignment, what needs to kind of be let go of and released to make room for new energy coming in for you. On Wednesday, we have Venus forming a trine to Chiron. This can be really beautiful, deep, empowering energy around healing, where however this kind of Venus energy has shown up for you, and we had a lot of intense Venus energy with Pluto, and it's going to continue with the Venus retrograde. So whatever this Venus story has really looked like for you, especially when it has to do with your self-worth, your self-love, how you love yourself, your relationships, how even your boundaries, there's beautiful energy coming in to help you understand and realize how far you've come on your healing journey, really, like how much work you've done on yourself. And supportive energy to help guide you into kind of more of that understanding of what needs to be healed, what needs to be let go of. Remember that Chiron has to do with our vulnerabilities, our wounds. And so when Chiron's making a connection to Venus, this really has to do with our wounds and vulnerabilities around our self-worth, around our relationships, around maybe if we have codependency and why, and childhood traumas, and a lot of that showing up at this time. And I'm going to be posting a lot of videos about this topic specifically, so make sure you watch for that, because this is something that I've worked through myself with codependency and toxic relationships, and it's something I feel like a lot of people are moving through at this time, just even from what I see on social media and just the energy in general. There's a lot of it, which I've already kind of mentioned, but this is where there's just a lot of really supportive energy coming in to help guide you through this Venus story, however it's showing up for you. Wednesday evening, we have the Sun forming a trine to Saturn retrograde. And at the same time, around the same time, we're going to have the moon at 8 degrees of Scorpio forming an opposition to Jupiter. And this is really interesting because the intuitive message I received when I was looking at the chart for this moment was, because we have that Venus kind of forming that trine to Chiron, which is our healing and our self-love. And that that Venus journey, and the moon opposing Jupiter at the same time with this sun trining Saturn is really bringing in this supportive energy where you're kind of feeling empowered to do what it is you need to do to reach the highest version of yourself, to take that chance. However, with the moon opposing Jupiter, it's unknown. We have the moon in Scorpio with the, not too far away from the south node. This is where there's this energy coming in that, yes, you know what you have to do. You know the chances that you have to take, and it's unknown, but you have this kind of empowering energy pushing you into it, where maybe before you were scared, there was fear of taking those chances, of stepping into the unknown, but this energy is supporting you in doing that. And because we have Venus and Leo, which really brings us that courage, that courageous energy to take those chances, this is interesting on Wednesday. So a Wednesday evening, and this whole kind of story playing out with your healing and your self-worth and your relationships and all of that, there's energy coming in to help support you in kind of taking those chances and stepping into the unknown. And again, because Jupiter is involved with that opposition to the moon, this is where we can have amazing benefits and blessings coming in when we really do choose our highest timeline and choose ourselves. On Friday, we have that Mercury Cazimi, which I'm not going to get into again. I kind of already covered that energy. But we also have Neptune stationing retrograde at 27 degrees of Pisces. And Neptune is forming a sextile to Pluto retrograde at 29 degrees. So this energy is really showing up as opportunity, something coming in when it has to do with your transformational process and spirituality. Like Neptune represents spirituality, creativity. Pluto is transformation. So I really feel like this is energy coming in to kind of shift your awareness and direction when it has to do with your spiritual connection and transformation. So it's a really interesting energy, something that you you don't need to be aware of it, but it's an energy you can really utilize when it has to do with your spiritual connection, your creativity, and how you really want to bring that into your transformational process. This can also show up as anything that has been unclear, deceptive, because Neptune does represent confusion, illusion, deception, seeing things with rose-colored glasses on, not seeing things very clearly. This can also add to that new moon in Gemini story, because that new moon was squaring Neptune. So this is where whatever has been playing out for you personally with that whole new moon in Gemini story, when Neptune stations retrograde, because Neptune and Pluto have been sextile now for a little bit, right? So there is this interesting energy playing out around Pluto really bringing to the surface what is hidden. So when Neptune stations retrograde, there's like kind of more clarity around that. There's more of going inside in your intuition, listening to your intuition to really have an understanding of developing that internal knowing and trusting yourself, really realizing and understanding how your intuition is your best guidance. Your intuition is really how you can follow the direction for your transformational process. When we start listening to our intuition and developing that healthy self-trust, trusting ourselves, and I'm going to also go over this topic on the channel as well, because I feel really passionate about this, but when you leave certain types of toxic relationships, you tend to not have that self-trust. It's something you really have to work on. And you also have a form of an awakening, especially if you're in a narcissistic relationship. And I'm going to touch a lot on this because this is something I've been through. When you develop that healthy self-trust, that internal knowing, the guidance you can get from that is exponential. And this energy of Neptune and Pluto is having that understanding, really developing that internal trust, that self-trust, and being able to transform yourself in a way where now you trust yourself. You trust what you're feeling, that it's guiding you in the right direction, and that anyone and anything that is telling you different is not in alignment with you, and really, quite frankly, should not be in your energy. Because if somebody is trying to guide you away from your intuition, from your internal knowing, they're really trying to guide you away from yourself. And this is really what pushes you into losing yourself. So I'm going to talk more about these topics because this is something that I feel very passionate about. Like I've said, I don't know how many times in this video, but I will be talking a lot more about trusting yourself again and really getting yourself back, and that self-development and all of that. So, and the healing process and the awakening process that comes from these toxic relationships. And then on Saturday and Sunday, we have Venus squaring Uranus. And so this is where we can have really sudden change, sudden energies, experiences, and situations coming in when it has to do with this Venus story. Something we really want to be aware of. Now, I mentioned that whenever we're kind of moving through that challenging energy with Venus, we want to look towards the sun. And the sun is going to be conjunct Mercury, forming that sextile to Jupiter and that trine to Saturn. So we really want to lean towards what showed up with that energy to help us through this Venus square to Uranus that's going to show up over the weekend. So this is really the energy that we're moving through for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. And again, I really hope that you love the new content that I will be putting on the channel. And don't forget to watch for the very first episode of my podcast, Awaken with Me, on Wednesday. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel and like this video if you align with my energy. Thank you so much, and I will connect with you in the next one.